Yo, what's up, good people? It's your boy Matt from Music Producer School. What's up, Yoane? Thanks for joining, my friend. Appreciate it. Yeah, today should be a pretty good one. We're going to be doing finishing up chords part 3 today. And let me make sure I got here in the comments. Don't forget, you guys and girls, today it is Saturday, which means after this class, I'm going to go over to the Music Producer School community page on Facebook. That's our private producer community. If you click join up there in the comments, click the link. I'll put you in before I go there today after class, and that's where I'm going to be listening to your tracks. And I'll be giving feedback on your stuff, so you can post YouTube links, SoundCloud, any kind of streaming stuff like that, and I will listen to the track live and give you feedback. I have it set up now to where I can listen to your track on my studio speakers and my headphones. So it's been pretty cool for everybody. I think we've been learning a lot from each other by doing that. So right after class today, be sure to go join the Music Producer School community. If you're just joining it, I'll approve you before I go broadcast from there after this class. What's up, Cornerstone? Thank you guys for joining. Thanks for the comments. Be sure to hit share on the stream, and that way we can get all of our friends in here and make sure everybody is, producing as best they can, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to just make everybody a little bit better, and that's ideally what we're trying to achieve. So we're going to be doing chords part 3 today. And the previous couple lessons, I was just kind of, again, not getting super complex stuff yet going on, but we did do a little bit more as far as talking about extended chords. And I wanted to kind of cover one final, it's not necessarily a basic thing. I mean, it's kind of basic. It's a fundamental truth, if you will, about chords. And I think it's going to, if you don't know this already, it's going to kind of open your eyes about some things, because I know it opened my eyes about some things. So let's go and get in our keyboard here. And let me turn this guy on. Well, actually, I'll just do it this way. That way, if we need to flip into Ableton, we can. Okay, so what we were talking about last time was using the C major scale, which is just all of your white keys from C to C, right? So if you know that, I showed you how you could figure out from just the C scale, the C major scale. If you don't know your scales and you don't know the formula for your major and minor scales, if you just know the C scale, which again, it's easy because it's just all those white keys. So you can, by kind of reverse engineering, you can figure out the formula for a major scale. And I was explaining in the previous class what I used to do when I was trying to like really internalize this stuff. Because that's the thing, if you're in the studio, you don't want to be sitting there trying to figure out, okay, whole, half, whole, half, which I know it now. But in order to learn it and really memorize it, I would just be, I'd be eating dinner and I would think from C to C, okay, C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. I know E and F are right next to each other, and that's a half step. Okay, half step. And then F to G, whole step. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. B to C, half step. Whole, half, whole, half step. And that's your major scale. And I would just sit there and just think about that without needing a keyboard. I wouldn't need to be in the studio. You just be chilling and start thinking about that. And after a little while, you'll learn it and memorize it. And then when you want to play scales in another key, you already know the formula. So if you're playing, in like a D key, D major, you can just quickly apply the scale formulas like that, right? So that's kind of what we covered in the previous class. If you missed any of that, go back. It's all on the Facebook page. And that's another thing, you guys. All these classes are on the Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch from any of those places, you can click that Linktree link in the comments on Facebook, and that will get you to all of our links. So the main thing I wanted to cover today to wrap up chords part 3, and this is another, it's going to be a couple parts to this that I wanted to cover, but just to kind of open your eyes to this in case you weren't aware. So we covered, you know, how to build chords last time with the 1, 3, 5, right? 1, 3, 5, okay? And that's our major third, that 3. And that's what makes it a major chord. So a thing about chords that you got to realize is that the third, either the major third or the minor third, that is going to determine the fundamental tonality of your chords, okay? And what I mean by that is if you play a major third, C, E, G, it's the nice, happy, major sound, right? If I play a minor third, and all you have to do to get a minor from your major is just go down a half step, flatten that note, right? So if I'm playing a C major scale, 1, 2, 3, that's my 3 major. If I want to get a minor third, I just flatten that note. And now I have the more dark minor sounding chord, and it's a C minor. So all you have to do ever to get the minor version of a chord is take any chord, right? We could take G, G, B, D. This is G major. G major, all I do is take that third. So this is my 1, the G, my major third, the B, and my 5. And the 5 is called a perfect fifth because the 5 is, you can flatten the 5th, but on all of the fundamental chords, the 1 and the 5 is always going to be the same. But all you have to do is change the third, and that's going to give you the fundamental tone, either major, which I always think of as just happy, or minor, which is a little more sad. So with a G, we've got G major, and then we've got flatten the third, G minor. Right? So that's pretty simple, but it's super powerful because a lot of people don't really, I think, realize that that's the way that chords, all of the chords work. So for example, if I wanted to do a, let's keep it in C to keep it kind of straightforward, right? So if I do a C major, if I want to do a C major 6, I just add on that 6th note of the scale. Okay? Now, if I wanted to do a C minor 6th, all I got to do is the same thing, but I just flatten that third again, right? Now I get a C minor 6. So you can use that minor major thing with your thirds to give, again, when you're trying to get into more complex chords. So let's say a progression like so something like that, G major, D major, A minor. It's okay, but let's say I wanted to do that minor 6 right there to kind of spice it up a little bit. There's my minor 6. So again, you have to remember that this major minor thing is going to give the fundamental tone for your chords. So what I like to also tell people to kind of tie this into a bigger production scenario is a good way to think of things when you're writing your songs is learn all of the chords that are in the key of the song you're working in, right? So in C major, for example, we have C major, and this is kind of what I wanted to touch on also. Let me see if I can put this up here. So we've got the 1 chord is going to be major. See if I can put this. I think that'll work over there. So our 1 chord, and this is kind of a formula for just all around songwriting that I'm going to give y'all now. So the 1 chord is going to be major in a certain key. The 2 chord is going to be minor. The 3 chord is also going to be minor. The 4 chord is going to be major, and this is super helpful for when you're writing songs. The 5th chord is going to be major. The 6th chord is going to be minor. And then the 7th chord is one that we haven't covered yet, which is called diminished. And basically, all the diminished means is you're taking your minor chord, so like a C minor, and you're just going to flatten that 5 now to get it diminished. And you'll hear how that resolves. So in the C key of C major, if you're writing a song in C major, we've got C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and then we've got this diminished chord, which is the B diminished. I'm sorry, B diminished right there. So you can hear how these chords, when they go back to back, the B diminished kind of resolves into the C major. So once you learn your major scale formula, your minor scale formula, and then you learn this over here on the left, this formula for the chords, this is going to cover about 90% of any song that you're ever going to try and write. So let me give you all a practical example of how this works. So if I'm writing a song in C, and let's say you're like, okay, I'm writing this song in C major, but I want to start it off a little melancholy, like a little dark sounding. So if you want to do that, typically you'd start with a minor chord, right? So let's start with A minor, but we're in the key of C major. That's very important to remember. So we're in the key of C major, but if you know all of these chords, and let me go ahead and just put this in here as well, so it's clear. I don't want to confuse anybody. I'm sorry. C, that's going to be D minor. This one's going to be E minor. This one's going to be F major. This one's going to be G major. This one's going to be A minor. And this one's going to be our B diminished. Okay? So we've got that, right? Okay, so if we know that we have all of these chords in our production for this song, right? So we start off a little melancholy with an A minor. And then let's say we go to F major, D minor. So like kind of like imagine like a pop maybe kind of a song, right? So this is what used to get me all the time, and this is why I wanted to cover this in this lesson today. I would come up with a chord progression like that, but I wouldn't really understand what key I was in. So I would be writing and I'd be like, all right, this is a great intro. I was the king of writing intros and verses. But then when it would become time to write the chorus of the song, I would always get so fixated on this first progression, I wouldn't know how to change it, and I would start looking for chords all over the keyboard, but it would just take me too long to find the right chords because I didn't know what I was doing, and I would get frustrated and I would just kind of give up on it, or else it would be another one of those songs, y'all know what I'm talking about, where it just goes on the hard drive and it's in the need to be finished folder and it never gets finished. So what you have to start learning is this method where you can understand what chords are going to be in a certain key. So for example, if I'm writing with this A minor and then I go to that F, D minor, so I could be writing potentially in A minor, and there's something else that y'all need to understand also that I think I'll cover in this as well, which is the major keys and the minor keys basically are the same thing. Now just think on that for a minute. They're basically the same thing. And you might be wondering, okay, what the hell does he mean by that? So what I mean by that is if you take a major key, let's say this C major, right? If we take this C major and we actually start on the 6th position, which is our A minor, if we started from A minor and went A minor, B diminished, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, back to A minor, well, guess what? All of a sudden, we've now built this same formula, but in a minor key. And it's all the same chords. It's the exact same chords. So let me show you all that now. I'll bring this over here now. Try and save a little time and I'll just do some copying and pasting here. So let me show y'all how this works, because when I say that, y'all may be wondering, okay, well, how do you know what key you're in? So if we're in a minor key, we're going to start off with a minor, right? So the way the minor key works is like this. So we're going to start off with A minor. Now this is for a minor key, and let me put a title on here so we don't get confused. So this is our major keys, and this is our minor keys. And this works for every key, not just C and A. So we start off in a minor key with a 1 minor. And again, you don't have to memorize this at first. Watch how I'm going to go through. Watch, I'm going to go through the minor key and show you how you can figure this out. So again, always use the C major scale or the A minor scale to reference stuff. So if I know I'm in A minor, right? And we know that that's always going to be all the white keys. Okay, A minor. The next chord, we just move up the white keys. That's a B diminished. So the next key, or the next chord rather, is going to be our B diminished. A minor, I'm just going up the white keys, one key. B diminished. The next chord, C major. The next chord we go up, D minor. And this needs to be minor right here. Next chord, E minor. Next chord, F major. Just going up one white key per chord. So this needs to be major. And then our 7, so we go F major. And then our last one is going to be major, G major. And then we go from G major back to A minor. So what I want you to notice here is these are the same exact chords over here in the minor key, except we're starting from the 6. So when you start from the 6 in a major key, that's how you get the corresponding minor key. So you have something called the harmonic minor for every major key. So for C major, the harmonic minor is, for C major, the harmonic minor is A minor. That's the minor key that goes with the major key. And what that actually means is it's all the same chords. You're just starting kind of mentally. The 1 chord becomes in a minor key here, and this is the pattern starts on a 1 here. So here's another little trick for you guys and girls. When I'm playing, especially when I'm playing guitar and I'm out playing a gig somewhere and I'm doing like a guitar solo, I typically, and actually not just a solo, when I'm thinking of chords in general, and we'll get into this deeper later on, but I typically try to think of everything in a major key, and that way I only have one kind of formula pattern to think on. So if I know that they tell me the song is in A minor, I'm usually thinking to myself, okay, the song's in C major, because it's all the same chords. It's just the 1, when I'm thinking 1, I get to think C major. When they're thinking 1 in a minor key, it's A minor. And either way is fine. It's just for live musicians, it's a little bit easier to just kind of think always major, and then you just always start from that 1 chord as a major. But either way you do it is fine. So again, the 6th chord in your major key is going to be your harmonic minor. So this is why this is important. If I'm playing, and again, you're not going to sit there and think of a formula necessarily when you're writing a song. You're going to think to yourself, okay, A minor sounds cool, F major, D minor, right? So you think, okay, well, I started with an A minor, so I must be an A minor. So you look over here, A minor, and then you say, okay, I played an F major down here. That works. And then I played a D minor. That worked. And then, okay, I'm in A minor. But what you can think about now, and this is kind of the point I was trying to make with this, is when you get to your chorus, or maybe you're trying to write a bridge or a special breakdown, I always tell y'all, try to think in opposites. So think to yourself, okay, I'm playing the verses in A minor. What would be the opposite that when the chorus kicks in, it'll make it a nice change for the listener? And that's where you can use these formulas, because then you think, oh, well, if I'm playing an A minor, I know that I'm also in C major. So why not maybe go to a C major on the chorus? So we do our verse, here comes our chorus, big chorus change. So that melodic change is going to kind of catch the listener and say, oh, okay, that's something new. I was expecting this minor kind of sound the whole time, but then they switched it up on me, and now we're in this nice major. And then you can then still use minor chords, but that one chord is what kind of sets the tone for a particular phrase or a particular section of your song. So you go from this minor and then big major. You could go back to a minor. And that's how you can kind of keep your listener guessing by not just repeating the same chord patterns all the time. So this is kind of the basis of that thinking, and it's kind of the basis of that formula. So I would highly encourage you guys and girls out there, again, you can always use the C major scale to reference this stuff, or the A minor scale, because it's all the white keys on the keyboard, and that's going to help you learn this stuff and kind of internalize it, so you don't have to sit there and write out all these formulas or write out all these patterns. You'll just kind of learn them. So then when you're working in any key, you know, an artist can come in the studio with you, or you could have your own song, and whenever you get stuck, all you have to do is think about, okay, well, I know all 7 chords in this key, and you can use other chords outside of this, but these are the ones that are always going to work in most situations. So these are the ones that if you know them off the top of your brain, you can always, when you get stuck, you're like, okay, I'm getting bored of this A minor. Let me try and switch it up to G major. You know, and that's how you want to think to keep your listeners guessing. So that's kind of the basis of that. I don't want to go too complex with this stuff just yet, but I wanted to make sure, again, everybody's on the same page and how all of this works. Major and minor keys are super important because, again, that sets the tone for your whole production, you know, and not just your whole production, but within each section. So if you're doing minor verses, switch it up, do a major chorus. If you need to do a breakdown, switch it up. Whatever you're doing last, try something else, you know. So again, you guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. I'm about to head over to the Music Producer School community. I know we have some people that posted some music up there, so I'm gonna be going there in about 5 minutes to go listen to your tracks. Y'all come join me over there. I'm only going to be broadcasting from the Music Producer community. And if you haven't posted any of your tracks yet, be sure to post something on the wall, and that way I can listen to it, and I'll give you some feedback on your track, and we'll all listen to it live. Once again, the link for the community is up in the Facebook comments. So once again, thank y'all for joining me. I'll see y'all in the Music Producer community. If I don't see you, y'all have a great weekend, and I'll have class again on Tuesday. All right, peace out. See y'all in the producer community in just a minute.